Hello and welcome to Upstack America's Oracle EBS Financials Functional Training. My name is Bob and I'm the lead senior consultant for Upstack America. And with me today I have Victor, who is also a senior consultant. And today we are handling lesson 66, and this is still on descriptive flex fields. Victor, please walk us through.
Thank you, Bob, for the introduction, and welcome everybody to this lesson in our Oracle Financials Functional Training Series. We are going to look at descriptive flex fields still, and in this session we are going to take a look at global data elements, and we are then going to look at how to attach value sets to descriptive flex fields. So in our previous session, we introduced DFFs, and we got to the point where we talked about context-sensitive DFFs, and we saw how to implement or to create context-sensitive DFFs. And we said that the segment fields appear depending on the context that you have defined. It's important to think of context-sensitive DFFs so that we can understand what global data elements are. And basically, what global data elements means is that these segments or the fields that you define under the global data elements context appear on your DFF window regardless of the context. Okay, so perhaps it would be best to explain using one of the examples that we did. Let me quickly go to Oracle. We need to go to segments under the descriptive flex fields. And we worked under budget flex field, excuse me. So we're going to use the word budget here. So the ones we configured are this one for the define budget window, and we also had one for define budget organization. Now, as you can see, even as you scroll through all these titles where these DFFs might appear, you can see that all of them have this global data elements context. And as we said, whatever you define under this global data element context will appear regardless of the context. Okay. So let's go to one of the ones that we defined, which was define budget. Let's maybe do a recap of this page or this window. So we have the context field where you define. Here you only enter the prompt, okay, and the prompt basically defines or asks for the whatever you're going to defend under your context sensitive fields. Okay, so anything else that you define and anything else that you add below the global data elements or any additional structure that you create that is not under the global data elements is context sensitive, okay? So let's unfreeze this Flexfield definition in order to make changes. So in this configuration that we did, we wanted our context field prompt to be status, whereby when we select the status as either current or open, then the window gives us the segment fields under which we have defined under this two different contexts. So when the status is, I believe, current, yes, then we will be asked to enter the manager name and the manager phone number. Okay. When the status is open, then we'll be asked to enter just the employee ID. So those are our context sensitive fields. We haven't defined anything under global data elements. All right. So what we are saying is that if we define segments under the global data elements context, then this segment will appear on that window regardless of the context. So they will not be subject to this context field, to put it in another way. All right. So let's go ahead and define something under the global data elements. So click on this line here to make sure this is the active field and select segments. You can enter the number here, and we can say that what we want to be displayed is perhaps additional information. Okay. You can select attribute 3. I think the other attributes have been taken by the other segments that we have defined. For the value set, you can still use the same one, the 20 characters. Okay. Go to open. Remove this required check mark so that we don't have to enter anything in that field in order to validate it, and save. Your list of values prompt is longer than your, okay, that's fine. I think they're saying this is more than 20 characters, but it won't stop us from doing what we want to do. And that's good. Let's save. And remember, in order to make sure that the changes take effect, we have to freeze our Flexfield definition. Okay. When we close this, it's gonna get compiled. Yes. Okay. So now let's go to this page and see what we have there. So budgets, define budget. This is the flex field that we have defined. Perhaps it would have been a good idea to come to this page before we defined this. I should have done that. But now what we have done is that this will be displayed. It has to be displayed regardless of the context. Okay, so if you want to enter any additional information, let's see the budgets that we have here. Mascani, okay. So you see, we had already entered all the context sensitive information here, but we have now this new segment that we define for additional information, and this is under the global data elements. So this will appear every time, and it always appears before the context sensitive fields. So you can go and even add another segment under the global data elements context, and it will come right after this additional information field and before this context field prompt. So that's basically it for global data elements. As the name somehow suggests, that they'll appear regardless of the context. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about attaching value sets to DFFs. Okay. We have already seen, or we already know how to attach value sets to segments that we have created in a Flexfield structure. We did this in our when we are creating our chart of account structure in the accounting Flexfield. So even for descriptive Flexfields, we can use value sets whereby we force users to pick a value for a particular segment from a list of values rather than just giving them like what we have been doing with our 20 characters value set, whereby the users can enter anything in that field as long as it meets the conditions of that value set. So instead of that, we can have a value set which we create just like the normal value set we created for our chart of account structure, and then we attach it to whatever segment we want to attach it to, and users need to pick a value from there. So we are going to do a demonstration of that. In order to create a value set, this is what we do. This is navigation that we are already familiar with. So first, let's go and see what segment we may want to put a value set for. Let's go to setup, financials, Flexfields, and then descriptive and segments. So let's see whether we can use one of these. Okay, so I'm going to unfreeze this. If you go under this field here and go to segments, we have these two segments, manager name and manager phone. Okay, so we can assume maybe there's a list of managers who have been selected and can be in charge of this particular budget. All right, so instead of having them just enter the name, you can create a value set which has the list of those names, maybe their titles or something like that. So maybe instead of saying manager name, we can say manager title. Hold on, let me not do that first. Let's keep this manager name. I'm thinking it's a better idea. Let's add a new segment here and say manager title. And we can pick attribute 4. Let's first enter the 20 characters that we've been using. Okay. And save. Then let's go and create a value set which we are going to go and attach to that new manager title segment that we have created. Okay. So like we said, this is the navigation, setup, financials, Flexfield, validation, and sets. Setup, financials, Flexfield, validation, and sets. So we can say here that we want this value set name to be manager title, or let's say Maskani manager title. Okay. For the maximum size, because we are going to be entering like words, let's put this to 20 also, just like that value set that we've been having there, right? So we're going to keep format validation as character because we're going to be using alphabet letters and don't want to restrict to anything. So just save this value set. Okay. Now we have created the value set. We need to enter values, right? So go to values, and a value set, we have Maskani manager title. And as you can see, this value set does not have any doesn't have any values yet, so we have to enter some values. Try not to maybe think about the logic too much of the value set, just think of the concept. So under manager title, maybe we can put in senior here. Okay. And here you can put in junior. And maybe here we can put in analyst or something like that. So here you can see senior accountant, junior accountant, and here we can say analyst. Okay, so maybe these are the 3 levels of managers who can take care of a budget or something like that. So save this value set, close. Now what we need to do is we have our value set. We need to go and attach it to that particular segment, all right? So let's go back to Flexfield descriptive segments and query what we had. Okay. And we had this under defined budget. And let's go to current segments. Now under manager title here, we are going to change the value set. Look for Maskani manager title. Okay. And you can save this. Save your work and freeze the Flexfield. Okay. Yes. So now let's go to this page and see what's happening. The define budget page. Budgets. Define budget. We don't have to select a particular budget. If we select status as current, that's what we'll have. You can enter the manager name, manager phone, manager title. Now, you can see that the manager title is yellow while these other fields are white, meaning this is required and this is not. Why? We didn't open that particular segment and uncheck the required field under validation that we have been doing before. So that's why we need to enter something here, all right? But also, if you click inside, you will see that you'll have this list of values button that usually pops up if you have a list somewhere, and you can see our value set is attached there. So when somebody is using this DFF, they'll have to pick one of these values and enter it there. But that's basically how you create a value set and use it in your DFF. I believe that should be enough to demonstrate our example. And with that, that's the end of our topic on descriptive Flexfield. You can try and do some setups on other pages or other windows, implement DFFs on other windows just for practice, but that is where we are going to end this topic. So Bob, unless you have something to add, that's a good place to end this session.